Hey guys, welcome to today's video. Now today I was thinking about doing two separate videos, but actually what I'm going to do is kind of do a longer one. Firstly, I'm going to give my thoughts on last night's win, quick thoughts about our win against Shrewsbury last night, and also look at and read out your comments on the game. And then I'm going to go on to talk about refs, and this is something I've been discussing for such a long time. I'm sure it's something that really irritates all of you. And yeah, so let's get to it. So last night, of course, we won 2-1. It wasn't the best game. I tweeted just like I did after the Bolton game. Um, I mean, it was nice to see the youth players come in. I thought Aki is impressing me every game. He doesn't just look to me like a player who could come in and just do a job, if that makes sense. Like, oh, he's good, so we'll put him in the League Cup games. I think he can do a job in the Premier League. I genuinely do. When he was playing against Maribor, I know Maribor, you can say, weren't the best of teams, but for me, I think Aki's brilliant, and I think he's only going to improve. Christensen looked good. I think there was a little bit of questions from my point of view when I was watching him in the Youth Cup final. I know it's a different level. Could he cope with it? But to me, he had a good game last night, and as well Zuma as well. So all positives. I thought Oscar um, played decent, and Drogba, of course, scoring the goal. Negatives, and this is a bit of discussion about Schürrle and Salah. Two players who are out of form. Especially the one that really worries me is Schürrle, because Schürrle had an amazing World Cup. He really did. He outplayed Özil. Do you know what I mean? In terms of, he was the one. He got the assist for the winning goal for Germany, and to me, it was just so brilliant seeing Schürrle do well. And there's going to be people who, I think someone in my comment said something about Schürrle, and I've got to be honest. It is disappointing to see his run of form, because when we start talking about like Willian and Schürrle, and like the one thing Schürrle has over Willian is we thought he had in terms of his finishing, and we've seen that a bit this season. But he's been very consistent. I don't know if it's World Cup hangover, but to me, we're nearing November, and I don't think that's a good enough excuse. He's got to start performing, because sooner or later he's going to become a bench warmer, and I don't want to see him leave, because I believe he can be a really good player for Chelsea. Salah, on the other hand, for me, I got asked, this is my first Q&A months ago, what he needs to do, and I said finishing. And last night just proved he's not improving, um, and it's just really disappointing, because for me he's the worst player in the squad, and I hate labelling players like that, but he is. And we've got some brilliant wingers, we really have. Hazard, Willian, and you can put Schürrle into that, but he's not performing well. But in terms of Salah, and he shows he can finish. I mean, he scored, I think it was 2 goals at the end of last year when he got his chance. Um, so he's got to improve, and I just don't think Salah is good enough, and he needs to improve, because he's not going to get a chance in the team. That chance he had where I think he fell over, and it went completely wide, was just embarrassing. Especially, I mean, as much as Shrewsbury played well last night, if you're a quality player like Schürrle or Salah, and you want to prove, because he scored in Champions League games against Chelsea, you've got to prove your worth, and you've got to do it on that stage. I thought Shrewsbury played well last night, and it just shows the quality of the lower leagues. As much as I think we all wanted to stroll for a 3-0 victory, it does show how strong the lower leagues is, and that's always something I've been preaching. I really enjoy how strong the lower leagues are, and yeah, it's great to get through. The competition looks like it's opening up. I mean, Liverpool are through, Tottenham and City are playing tonight, so it looks like they're probably going to be our biggest opposition. I can't really see Tottenham and City, both of them losing. I could potentially see one of them losing, but other than that, so I'm just going to get up all of your comments, because there were a few and they were mostly negative, even though we won. So Johnny said this is about Schürrle. Schürrle has further solidified my pre-existing views on him. Greedy, narrow-minded, not up to it, don't rate him at all, and wouldn't be sad to see him go as soon as January. Not a good enough performance from everyone. I'll agree that it wasn't a good enough performance. It wasn't like totally negative. It was just, the problem is when you see the younger players performing at a higher level than the so-called fringe players who are more experienced, um, and that's disappointing. So Schürrle, I actually replied and said that's a big statement. The form of Schürrle worries me, and it worries me because he's not going to get a chance in this team, and eventually FFP. We've seen what Chelsea are doing. They want to get money for players. If they're no value to Mourinho, you can get money for them, and I don't want to see Schürrle go because I think he is a real talent, and I mean that's a big statement, but I believe Schürrle will come good. I'm still hoping he's just got to get his form back. Max said, Salah crap, Schürrle selfish, Drogba shuts up the critics, Akin Christensen top notch, agree with that. Zuma was a tank, check, better luck next time, made a lot of saves. Felipe Luis making us not miss Dave at all, he was great, I have to agree with that. Frederick says, harder than it should have been, Drogba still got it at 36 years old. Salah shows why he isn't playing more, he's very predictable, was going on his left foot. Mikel was a disaster, almost cost us the game with sloppy defending. Schürrle back with a decent performance. I'm not sure about decent. Akin Christensen, more praise. And there's loads of other ones. More praise for Christensen. And yeah, that's about it. So really good. I think we got through. Jose takes his competition seriously. It's good to be in the quarterfinal. Hopefully, we were at this stage last year, so I'm going to move on now because, of course, we don't want this video to go too long. So about refs, and this is something I've been thinking about for a while. It kind of made me think more about this subject after Sunday. Now, if you remember going back to my review, I didn't blame the ref, and probably what I like to do, other than if I do a review the day after, if I'm doing a review straight after it, I want to give as true as an emotion as I can in terms of my opinion, and really my opinion was, as much as I roast refs a lot of the time, because I'm quite critical on refs, I don't give them much sympathy. I said, why is Brandon doing that? I've looked back and he just had an awful game all round, and I can't give him sympathy and I can't give refs sympathy because really it's the whole issue of refs, and it's how bad they are in this country, and it's how inconsistent they are. That tweet I put out, they're inconsistent, they make stupid errors every single week, and they don't have common sense. Inconsistent could probably be the first, second and third reason, because that's the main problem here. John Terry, I think it was JT, Cahill and Ivanovic all getting headlocked. And the one thing that infuriates me is the fact that Phil Dowd is standing right there. These are not hard decisions. I cannot have sympathy for refs anymore when they are standing right there in front of it and they don't make the decision or they give the decision the wrong way. For instance, I've started watching like Chris Foy ever since he made those awful decisions against us at Aston Villa. Watched him the week after. He makes a terrible decision where it's right in front of him. I think it was Hull versus West Brom. Shane Long, I think, dived and it wasn't a penalty, but he gives the penalty anyway, standing straight there. It was a clear not a penalty in a million years. Still gives it. Week after that makes a mistake. Week after that makes a mistake, and it's so annoying. And the fact is, I don't understand why referees feel that they need to become the star of the show. I also tweeted something where I said I think along the lines of, we look at El Clasico and we say, look at the great football, look at how brilliant it is, and then we look at English football and it's always about something about the referee. I don't want to come on here every single week and blame the referee because I feel it's an easy excuse, but you have to when they're costing us games, when they're costing and ruining games, really. And, the Clattenburg incident, in terms of match fixing, I wouldn't say that because the two times I've really had a suspicion of something dodgy going on was the Clattenburg case in 2012 and the against us 3-2 where we lost, and then the one in 2009 in the Barca with all the handballs and all that. That was the two times I thought, yeah, there's something going on here. Sunday, I just think, and a lot of the time, it's just in a case of bad refereeing. And the terrible thing is, you have refs like Mike Riley or past refs. Sorry, Mike Riley's like the head of all the referees. And you have past referees going on there, and there's no governing board. so they don't have to answer to anybody. So they can go in on a Monday, make after the game on Saturday, go home. They've made the mistake, no problems. They can go, no problems, because they're not. And what annoys me as well is that the bad ones, if they make a bad decision, get dropped down to the lower leagues. That's unfair on the lower leagues, and I've watched games in the lower leagues where there's better referees in leagues 1 and 2 than there are in the Premier League. How does that make sense? It's the biggest league in the world. It's the best league in the world, in my opinion, and we don't have good enough refs who are constantly making bad decisions. And I see pundits in this country, and when we watch Champions League games, criticising how bad the foreign refs are. Our refs are no better. The only thing I can see that our refs maybe have in a positive way is that they're not as picky. Like, they don't blow up the whistle every 5 minutes, but they're just making so many bad errors, so many blatant bad errors week by week, which are frustrating. Like, managers can't speak out because they get punished for it when they're clearly speaking the truth. You know, I just don't understand. It's really annoying that there aren't many good refs, and it's shocking to us. It's actually shocking when a ref has a good performance. Against Crystal Palace, I had no problems with the ref. I thought he had a good game. Sent off Delaney, fair. Sent off Aspilicueta, was a red. He played no massive part in the game. But week by week, we're just getting shocking refereeing decisions. And it's just really bad. I'm not going to sit here and... There needs to be more governing body, I think. If I'm going to give a solution, there needs to be a governing body. These referees need to either go through more training. They need to be fitter as well. I don't think it's good when you see like German and Italian refs are in better shape than our refs. You need to have that. I don't think that's too big of a case because they always seem to be in the right position. They just don't get the decision right. But this is a big discussion, and it's not just a Chelsea thing. It's whatever I see after week, bad decisions for any team. Even like watching Arsenal games, and as much as maybe I'll laugh at that, you'll think, yeah, that's a terrible decision, and it's really frustrating. The referees are so bad, and another thing like the diving thing, people bring that up as an excuse, but I don't agree, because the reason players go down easily is because refs won't get the decision. Because as many times as we've seen, a player runs into the box, for instance, gets hacked, and if he doesn't go down, he ain't getting the decision. He ain't getting that penalty. If he goes down, and apparently he's going down too easily, so players are suddenly in this kind of mindset where they think, if I go down, I'll be more likely to get a decision, which then leads to them getting blamed. Now, sometimes there are divers who of course there are, like Moses, for instance, Chelsea player actually on loan. He dived. That's a dive. But there's also all of that, and I just can't have sympathy for refs anymore. I just can't, and it's embarrassing the game. It really is, that we can't have good enough refs in our game. It's just really, really frustrating, and inconsistency, I'll go back to that. That's really the one that annoys me, because the JT and Ivanovic and Cahill getting headlocked, that's something that happens week after week in every game. But if that happens anywhere else on the pitch, then it's a clear foul. Or the way they get influenced by refs. This is something Eunice talked about. They are not there to get influenced by the crowd. They're not there to be involved in the spectacle. They are there to referee the game by the law, not by the occasion. And that happens too often, and people just shrug it off and say, well, that's the way it goes. No, it doesn't, because they've got to be punished for when they make big mistakes, and they've got to be taught, and they can't be stupid. They can't just be independent, that it seems like. And it's just really frustrating. So give me all your thoughts on your biggest problems with referees. I've just labelled a few: Foy, Dean, Howard Webb. For me, I'll probably, within like I know people say John Moss, and on Soccer Saturday they really take the mick out of him. But they're three I focus on that have really changed kind of and even Graham Poll, for me, was just an awful ref, constantly making bad decisions. These refs that feel that they have to be the star of the show, when actually the reason we're here is for the football. So give me your opinions down below on what's the problem with referees, what you think needs to be done. Hopefully this can open up a big discussion, so because I know it is a big thing amongst all football fans, not just Chelsea fans. If you're a Liverpool fan, if you're a United fan, Arsenal, even Tottenham, even QPR, West Brom, Accrington Stanley, any fan of football in England, especially in England, because I believe we've got a big problem here with referees. Leave them down in the comments. Now, maybe doing a talk football with Joe tomorrow night. I'm not entirely sure about that yet, but I'll get back to you on that. So follow me on Twitter @SonChelsea for all of the latest on that. And I'll be doing probably the QPR preview with Joe. Hopefully, if I don't, then I'll just do my own preview. And I'm going to the game on Saturday, so big game against QPR. Hopefully we can get the win. I'll see you again.